On choosing therapy, 10 symptoms of daughters of narcissistic fathers. Girls who are raised by men with narcissistic traits share common personality traits and characteristics due to their upbringing. Lack of self esteem, early sexual behavior, and eagerness to please are some of the most common traits of women who were raised by narcissistic fathers. The experience of having a narcissistic father impacts a woman in many different ways. The impact of these experiences lasts throughout childhood into adulthood. Parents play an important role in the mental development of a child. Here are 10 symptoms of daughters of narcissistic fathers. 1. Extremely self critical. Being self critical is a common personality trait of daughters of narcissistic fathers. Many experience self loathing due to the extent of their negative self talk. While it is common for the experience of growing up with a narcissistic parent to result in low self worth, it also sometimes results in them developing traits of narcissism in themselves. This can also lead to being extremely self critical. Parental narcissism may facilitate the development of narcissistic traits in children. In fathers, this is partly due to narcissistic fathers being more likely to overvalue their children. 2. Eager to please. Growing up with a parent with traits of NPD can often come with unrealistic expectations and confusing patterns of behavior. This can leave daughters of narcissistic fathers constantly looking for approval that never comes. Not getting the approval needed as a child translates into adults who are always eager to please to experience the approval that they were lacking in childhood. 3. Poor boundaries. Growing up in a narcissistic family system often leaves survivors with a poor understanding of boundaries, both of ourselves and others. Many have never had an opportunity to ever think about what their boundaries are until they spend many years having them violated. 4. Early sexual behavior. Girls are more likely to engage in early sexual behavior than their peers who did not grow up in a dysfunctional or abusive household. Researchers who focus on childhood maltreatment find that it is significantly associated with early sexual and risky sexual behavior. 5. Poor self-esteem. Growing up with someone who has unrealistic expectations often leaves you with the feeling that you disappointed your father. The experience leaves many feeling like they did not do anything right, which impacts self-esteem and self-worth. 6. Difficulty advocating for own needs. Growing up in a narcissistic family structure makes you neglect your own needs in order to survive the chaos and dysfunction. Asking for your needs met was often met with punishment or other toxic behaviors and can leave survivors struggling with how to ask for what they need in adulthood. 7. Guilt when asking for help. Children in narcissistic environments have to deny the reality that they are living with because they do not yet have the insight to explain what is wrong. Instead, they often blame themselves rather than recognize they need help. This is why children may find it difficult to reveal problems to outsiders but try to hide their parents' illness. 8. More likely to have unhealthy relationships in adulthood. Survivors of dysfunctional environments are more likely to repeat the dysfunctional behaviors in adulthood relationships. In order to survive the dysfunction, we often had to ignore or even intellectualize bad behaviors. In adulthood, this can lead to ignoring red flags or even recognizing them but staying anyway in an attempt to fix the other person. 9. Struggles with addiction and other means of self-soothing. Many survivors struggle with addiction of substances and food later in life. Substance use is often started as a way to self-soothe from an environment that seemed unmanageable. 10. Constant fear of abandonment. Due to the inconsistent affection and often conditional terms of love and support, many daughters of narcissistic fathers live in constant fear of abandonment of others, which can manifest in romantic relationships, as well as friendships and even work environments.